Hi, good morning to a new episode of ETRetail Cafe by ETRetail. We are here to make you smarter today, this Monday morning, because we have with us Siddharth, who is the founder of Snitch. Hi Siddharth, welcome to ETRetail Cafe.
Hey Charu, thanks for having me. Welcome to Snitch.
So tell me how your journey in retail started. Were you always inquisitive about retail, or it happened by chance for you?
So I think we were a brand that was born out of the pandemic. And at that time, I thought online was the best way to scale the business, and hence we did that. But over a period of time, customers really wanted us to come offline.
Yeah.
Because no matter what, apparel is going to be a touch and feel sort of a business, and that's why we decided to start off with our offline journey.
Yeah.
Again, offline just happened. I was passing through a street in Jayanagar, saw a to-let board which said to-let 2,200 square feet. Contact number. I just called up the landlord. The rental was 3,50,000. In my mind, I thought even if we do 7 lakh sort of a net business, we'll be profitable. And that was the basic thesis. Took us 2-3 months to sort of design that store. July 15th, I remember we opened the store, and by July 30th, in 15 days, we clocked 50 lakhs in net revenue. And that was a huge surprise to me. There was no celebrity called, no mega campaign done around the opening. But the sort of customer love that we saw was just phenomenal. And we waited for another 3-4 months. Hame laga fad hoga. Usually what happens is as soon as something new opens, people tend to go there.
Yeah.
But then next month it did 1 crore, and post that it just kept growing. And by December, that store hit almost 1.3-1.4 crores in net sales. And I was stunned, and I thought, let's take offline seriously.
So Siddharth, tell me one thing. When you started the journey, did you have any background in retail or something like that? Do you come from a family who is into retail? What was the inspiration? You have the brand is picking up. There has to be some background behind it, no?
No, honestly, nothing. My dad was into jewelry. I started off way back in 2009 with a very small retail store in Bangalore, wherein I used to sell surplus clothing. Did that for 2-3 years. Then I got into trading, wherein I used to procure a lot more of these surplus clothing and then distribute to retailers across India. Till 2012, I did that. I was making good enough 50,000-60,000 rupees a month at the age of 20. That was like a big thing for me. But then in 2012, something really strange happened. So while dealing with these factories, there was one particular factory who was ready to sell out the fabric as well. And this was beautiful shirt fabric. I had a buyer ready. All I had to do is move that stock from place A to place B, and I was making 2.5 lakhs. The investment was worth about 25 lakhs. I barely had 2 lakhs in my savings, borrowed from my friends and family and did that transaction. But to my bad luck, the factory had an audit and they couldn't dispatch it for like 30-40 days. And that's when, I got stuck. I didn't have place to even keep that fabric, kept it at a friend's garage. Made these real swatches of those fabrics and distributed to all the retailers that I knew. There was one particular retailer in Bombay. He had about 17-18 stores back then. He called me up and he's like, Sid, the fabric is fabulous. Can you make shirts out of them? I was stunned because production was not my background. He just told me, 200-300 piece sample bana ke bhej de. If it works, I could bail you out of this situation. That's when the real hustle started. Buddy factory was not ready to do that very small MOQ. Found a very small unit, sat there for almost 6 to 8 weeks. Understood the whole process of production, how our fabrics laid, what is the sort of, interlining to be used, what thread, what is, a sort of stitch, etc. Designed these 300 pieces myself, end of 6-8 months, and sent it out to Bombay. Over the weekend, all those shirts flew off his counter, ended up converting that entire batch of fabric into shirts and made 6.5 lakhs. That's when I realized, manufacturing was a much bigger game. And since then, I've been running like a buying house from 2012 until 2019. I was running like a buying house wherein we used to, design, manufacture and deliver products across brands. So absolutely nothing. When we entered e-commerce, it was by luck. And I think internet taught me everything. And even in retail, we were very sure that we did not want to do, the conventional way of retail. We wanted to change, a lot of things in the way retail is done in India. And I think we've sort of successfully on that trajectory to change it.
So what changes have you brought?
Everything. So traditionally, if you look at brands, they used to keep inventory worth at least 90 days in their stores.
Yeah.
And we said, why should we do that? We would make our supply chain so robust, use technology on top of it, and bring it down to 30 to 35 days. And I can proudly say that the sort of inventory that we hold in our stores is less than 35 days across all the 23 to 25 stores that we run.
So tell me, Siddharth, when you was, I mean, it's a new age brand, when you was establishing it, there must be some challenges that you must have faced. What were those challenges and how did you overcome them?
I mean, there were a lot of challenges, right? First of all, you were a very, very new brand when we started in 2020. The advantage that we had was offline was completely shut.
Yeah.
And there were only traditional brands before this, which were not tech savvy and they did not even have websites. The other way, we had like 3-4 competition online. But then they were all catering to different niches of customers.
Yeah.
We thought, let us hold on to one niche, which is men's fashion. Again, keep the price point really sharp and try and deliver it with good content. And I think that sort of gave us a lot of leverage in terms of growing initially. But of course, we had a lot of challenges, like none of us were from the tech background. We had to learn a lot of things on the go. Did a lot of mistakes when it comes to RTOs. I mean, I did not even know the meaning of RTO before starting Snitch. So that bad we were. But then I think over a period of time, we started, learning a lot of things, partnered with good enablers, who grew with us. And yeah, I mean, that's what the journey has been like.
Why men's fashion?
I mean, look, if you look at the lifestyle business in India, almost all brands, if you even walk into a good lifestyle store today, you will see 70% women, 20% men, and 10% kids. The same with international brands. When they came into India, their sort of stores had 70% real estate towards women, 20% towards men, and 10% towards kids. We thought, why not create a brand which is above a lot of fast fashion brands in India in terms of price point, but below international brands, and let's cater to that audience who is very, very aspirational. And I think the main reason for us was what we realized is, at least when it comes to brands, women are not loyal, right? Like when it comes to brands, especially, I think it is very easy for any women to change their mind when it comes to brands. But with men, it is very, very difficult, right? If I'm going to a mall today, I would prefer to go to one store. I may buy a footwear from there. I may buy a sunglass. I may buy clothes. So that's the way. I think in a way, men are really sticky, and you could, unless you don't goof up with anything, you could create a great brand loyalty there.
So just because of loyal consumers over there.
I think loyal consumers plus the TAM, right? There was a huge opportunity where no brand was focusing on the men's fashion.
Yeah.
They thought men would only wear white, black, grey, blue. And when we introduced colors, it was just fabulous to see the sort of response that we got. So I think the main reason for us was, men's fashion in India was very, very conventional, while the new age brands or the new age audiences were not sort of happy with the sort of brands which were available. Like you go to a 23-year-old and give him 5 names which exist in India, he'll say, I'm not going to buy from there.
True.
This is my father's brand, right? So that's the sort of perception that we knew was existing, while brands, international brands like H&M and Zara were coming into India and disrupting the traditional model of business. Even when I speak to a 25-year-old today, you could ask them, what are the sort of brands that you have? There'll be just 2, 3, 4 options. Few in marketplaces or few international brands. So we knew the TAM is really, really large.
So when you know the customer, so tell me what the customer is actually looking for.
I think today India is largely driven by value. What I personally feel is, the pandemic happened. Everyone chased luxury because लोगों को लगा हम मरने वाले हैं, जो खरीदना सब खरीद लेते हैं. तो वो वाला एक phase आया till 21. Post that, the stock market started, rocketing. Then people thought, यार हम क्या कर रहे हैं? हम जो luxury खरीद रहे हैं, that is all depreciating. Let us invest in assets. People started investing more in equity, more in real estate, more in gold, etc. And they changed their lifestyle towards value. And that I think is going to last for the next 10, 15 years now. luxury, of course, is a very, very large business, but it takes decades to build a good luxury brand. While a value sort of segment, which is catering to the mass premium audience, then you could build a very, very large business.
True. So, Siddharth, as you're building a new brand from scratch, you are hiring the talent on your own, handpicking everything for yourself. So, to understand, what values do you look forward to when you decide that this is the right person for my team?
So I think the number one thing, I mean, we've hired a lot of leadership roles, right? Just to give you an example, we got an Aniket, who's the CBO at Snitch.
Yeah.
He takes care of the entire growth today, and I'm not even a part of the online business. I mean, in a way, we just have a weekly review. Again, he was introduced to me by Dalveer, who's one of the co-founders at Dunzo. Again, I just told him, look, yaar, hum शायद 100 crore पे थे उस time ARR पे. I told him, look, I think this could become really big, but I'm a धंधे वाला guy. I understand product. I don't know how to corporatize this. He told me, yaar, I know a guy who is doing like a free time now. You could probably speak to him and figure out. So I spoke to Aniket. We agreed, and then he joined us as a consultant. First month he was there for I think 1 day a week. Second week he was there 2 days a week, and over 7 weeks he was there almost every day here. And end of 7-8 weeks, I just asked him, Aniket, do you think this could go to 1,000 crores in 3 years? He said, absolutely yes. So I think the number one thing that I look for is conviction. If any employee, especially in the leadership roles, are you 100% convinced about the brand, about its future, about the vision? Only if that sort of hits your mind, then talent and all of those experiences and all of that comes in. But the number one thing, or the three topmost things that I look for: one is conviction, second is longevity, are you here for the long run, and third I would say is grit. Do you have that grit to sort of keep doing that every day?
And when you are building a team, you are also, apart from the higher management, you are also hiring the people who are actually working day to day and helping the brand to take it to new heights.
Yeah.
What are the values that you are imbibing in them actually to make sure they also grow in life and they might become CEOs or the founders of new brands?
Absolutely. I mean, that's what I want, right? If we could create 5-7 founders after 5 or 7 years, and hopefully they won't leave us before we go big. But yeah, I mean that would be something that would be like a great achievement to me. I think the sort of values that we inculcate is largely towards culture, towards making work a fun place, right? Because you're spending more than, I would say, 70% of your day in the office. You would just go home and probably have a meal and crash. But apart from that, you're spending a lot of time in office. So this needs to be a very, very fun place. Second is in terms of how do we use existing talent to upgrade them. Like I strongly believe in that culture that, for example, a guy who was just a customer support executive today manages NSO for us in retail. A guy who was just taking care of admin today is taking care of offline expansion as well. So a lot of things that we've understood in terms of people who have that grit and conviction, we keep giving them new tasks and ask them to keep raising the bar then.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So Siddharth, one more thing, you are born in an era, I mean the brand has been born in an era when tech has been dominating the retail industry. How do you see tech reshaping the retail going ahead? What major changes that you see tech might bring?
I think until now, I would say tech was more like an enabler, but now it is also towards a smarter supply chain, smarter design thesis, smarter way of taking decisions. So for us, we inculcate tech in a lot of aspects. We are a fashion brand. Like inventory is something that could kill us.
Yeah.
So we built a very, very strong tech in terms of which SKU, how much to launch, when to repeat. What is the sort of return percentage that you're coming, what is the lead time, calculate all of that and throw out the number. Apart from that, we've come up with a new app, which is the Snitch 2.0. The iOS is already, sort of released. The Android will release in another week or 2 weeks. And post that, we obviously want the stores to be integrated with the app so that we give a beautiful omni experience. Supposedly you are, staying in Bandra, Mumbai. Can I show you inventory which could be delivered within 2 hours to your doorstep from the Bandra store itself, and give that actual, store experience online. So I think a lot of things that we are doing when it comes to rewards, loyalties, we really want to change everything which was existing and just raise the bar high.
So from what I have got, what we're saying is that apparel has the potential to be on the quick commerce.
Absolutely, I think certain categories will definitely come on quick commerce. But more than quick commerce, I feel anything that is really fast and snappy, Indian consumers just love it, right? That's why you're seeing a quick commerce boom. So it is not just about apparel or anything. Anything that you are, sort of taking that extra, step towards thinking of customers and then getting them that sort of experience which says that, this could be delivered within 2 hours, 4 hours. And we've also seen our RTO rates have come down drastically once we started, delivering within 2 days. Prior, we were using a lot of couriers which were much cheaper, but then the deliveries used to take almost 3 to 4 days. So when we looked at the data, we understood that, shipping a lot of products in certain zones by air could not only give a better experience, but also the RTO rate would come down. So I think anything that is snappy and, fast, Indian consumers would just love it. And, quick commerce, again, I think certain categories will definitely work well, like, undergarments, solid t-shirts, fragrances, jewelry, all of these categories could become really big in the fashion industry at least.
That's interesting actually. I'm really waiting how quick commerce is going to reshape the way retailing is done here in India.
No, I think absolutely. And I think over a period of next 2-3 years, you will also see a lot of changes happening in the quick commerce industry. I don't strongly believe that it's going to remain with dark stores only. I mean, you'll see a lot of stores getting integrated with quick commerce, which are nearest to their dark stores, etc. So I think there's a lot more that will happen.
So that tech is evolving at a rapid pace. Have you had a fear any time in your life that tech might replace you, and then what will you do?
No, I think no, yaar, because who's making the tech? Human beings, right? So I don't think so there's any better tech than your brains. And whatever that you're building through tech is something that you've thought in your brain and then sort of, tech could ease life, but I don't think so that is, going to be a replacement towards human beings. India is a very, very emotional country, right?
Yeah.
We've seen that. When we created bots, people did not like it because they were not ready to chat with a bot which is just giving, answers which are not very, very emotionally connecting. So I think to an extent it does. But post that, Indian consumers always, even if you go to a store, right, you want to go and speak to the salesman there, understand. You'll ask him, how is this looking? Because you've gone alone to shop, you will obviously ask someone. So I think India is more about emotions, and tech could be a great enabler in the back end, but at the front end, you'll obviously need a lot of human beings.
So Siddharth, you've been running the show for almost 4 years now.
Yeah.
So what are the 3 major learnings that you have learned till now?
I think the number one was start, because I strongly believe that a lot of people just fail to start. If had we not started the label Snitch or went online during the pandemic or started offline retail at the right time, I think we would not be here. So I think the number one thing is start. Second is I'm a strong believer of getting talent which is very fresh, so that you could groom them in the way you want the business to sort of run. And third, I would say, is grit. I keep telling people that talent to me is grit. If you have that grit to keep doing it consistently and sort of raising the bar within yourself itself and not through anyone else, that's the top 3 things. Yeah.
So that we have seen that when we talk about traditional brands, they've always bet big upon building sustainable brands for future profitability.
Yeah.
And these new age brands these days are actually raising money. They want to scale at a rapid pace. According to you, what is the right way to go ahead? What is the right path that you chose for yourself?
No, I mean, I could proudly say that we were probably the only brand in that era wherein we were growing year on year, plus we were profitable. So I'm a very, very strong believer of, raising money just to grow the business, not for survival. I mean, I would consider myself really lucky that during the 21-22 phase, when a lot of investors were chasing us, we held back and said, no, we're not going to raise money now. Let us make the base really, really strong. We would only sort of put the money into the business when we know it's the right time to grow it. So I think that's the best route. Today it becomes really easy. I mean, you could just start off selling through WhatsApp, through Instagram, then go to a website, then go to marketplace. Everything is so readily available. I mean, at least when we started, a lot of things were broken, but over the last 4 years itself, we see everything has been fixed so beautifully that anyone could just start off. So anyone who just starts and keeps doing it, I think, yeah, that's the best thing that you could do.
3 things which actually makes Snitch different from other brands in the retail arena.
Yeah, so I think the first thing would be customer feedbacks, because we take that really, really seriously. 2 is the in-store and app experience. 3, I think, to an extent, is also the price point that we are at. Because, and the product quality compared to the price point, right? So I think these 3 things are the key differentiators. Apart from that, on top of this is the design thesis itself. We are the most trendiest brand, anything that you could imagine that you would want to buy, and if you come on the app, I'm definitely sure that you would find it.
So as we see, the retail is changing in a big way. New things are coming up. Consumer expectations are changing. In such a scenario, where do you see Snitch 5 years from now?
I think for us, we've been very clear that we want to be the #1 fashion brand in India, right? I don't know what number will take us there, but it is more about, are you getting that kick every single day to, come out with the same sort of passion and build, products, experience for consumers. Apart from that, I think, 5 years down the line, I mean, hopefully we should be giving a very successful IPO. That's the dream that we have at Snitch, and I strongly believe that we're not here to just create value for myself or anyone. It is towards the sort of team which is working, to our consumers, to our investors, etc. So I think 5 years down the line, a lot of exciting things are going to happen. Maybe we'll do women. I don't know. I'm not thinking, but I think 5 years is a very long path, and we just want to keep consistently doing what we've been doing over the last 4 years for the next 5 years as well.
Wonderful. It was a pleasure having you, and
Absolutely.
I wish you the success for the journey ahead.
Thanks,
but before we close it, let's have a rapid fire. I'm going to ask the questions and not even going to give you time to think about it. So tell me one business book or one movie that you have watched, and what have you learned from that?
I think a movie, it was, I would say, Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara, which the title itself tells you, right? You have one life, make the most of it.
One retailer or brand that you admire a lot, and why?
I think Zara. That's been like a godfather to me, and because of what Zara is and what we've seen over decades, what they've been trying to build and still consistently growing. So I think that's the biggest inspiration to me.
If not in retail, what you would have been doing?
Probably sitting in my dad's jewelry store.
And Siddharth, everybody knows that you're running the show right now at Snitch. What do you do in your free time? Nobody knows though.
So I think during the free time, of course, now I don't have a lot of free time, but I try and spend as much as time with family, with friends, maybe just take a break out somewhere. Yeah, so I mean, very, very boring life.
3 suggestions that you want to give to the founders who want to take a plunge and start their own brand.
I think #1, again, I would say start. 2 is, keep backing yourself. It's okay to fail. You might fail a lot of times, but give yourself a time period saying that I'm going to hit, keep trying this every single day for the next 3 years, 5 years, and then probably, try and quit unless there's nothing that is happening. And 3rd, I would say, is build a very, very strong team. I'm a strong believer of, I think I'm the most dumb guy in the office. That's the way I think. I think you need really smart people to run the show, and you have to just keep passing the sort of vision that you have to them and build that conviction inside them.
Thank you so much, Siddharth. It was a pleasure having you today.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Charu.
Thank you so much for watching this episode. I hope you really enjoyed it. We'll be back again with a new episode, new retailer, new story next week. Till then, bye.